Thank you very much. Just before we start, I'd just like to say a big thank you to the officers team over the last year or so since I've been chairman. This will be my last chairmanship of this meeting. And also, I think it's worth a note that Councillor Allen, you've been a councillor for almost 30 years, I believe. 28 years. Some of the members in the chamber were only babies at that time. And I think certainly a vote of thanks should be given to you. I know how hard you've worked for all your residents over the years. You've probably sat on pretty much every committee that the council's had, and you're always very diligent and scrutinise. So I think a word of thanks on behalf of the council is deserved for Councillor Allen. The place will certainly be a darker and quieter place without you here, so thank you. Right, we now move on to the formal part of the agenda. This is, so I'd like to make a warm welcome to all our viewers watching live on the Council's YouTube channel, Hillingdon, London. My name is Councillor Simon Arnold and I am the chairman of this meeting. Details of the business to be considered today is shown on the agenda, copies of which are available in the room and is also accessible online under the live broadcast link. For those present in the room and intending to speak, please note that you will be filmed and any statement you make will be recorded and made public. For those solely observing in the room today, you may wish to know that the camera is angled away from the public gallery where you are sitting. A reminder to anyone speaking today that your voice will only be audible online if the microphone is switched on. Fire alarms, we are not expecting a fire drill, so if the fire alarm goes off, please follow the officers to the fire exit and out of the building to the designated meeting points. Mobile devices, for those in the room, please switch off any mobile devices or at least put them on silent. Declarations of interest, please ensure that you identify which item you have an interest in, state whether your interest is pecuniary or non-pecuniary, and give the reasons that you have an interest. Members need not to declare an interest in any item on the agenda where they have already listed this interest on the regular register of interest. Furthermore, you do not need to declare an interest just because you are, for example, a ward councillor or governor. Attendance roll. Sorry. Firstly, do we have any apologies for absence?
No apologies, Chairman.
Thank you. Well, we'll just take a quick attendance vote. Councillor Darren Davies.
Here, Chairman.
Councillor Lynn Allen.
Present.
Licensing Officer Mark McDermott.
Present, Chairman.
Thank you. Legal Advisor Glenn Egan.
Present, Chairman.
Democratic Services Officer Anish Taji.
Present.
Applicants Agents Mr. Panchal.
Oh, sorry. Thank you, Chair. I'm present.
Thank you.
It's my first street trading.
Good afternoon to you, Mr. Panchal. The applicant Mr. Manpal Singh.
Present.
Thank you. And I know we have one of the objector, the ward councillor, Councillor June Nelson. Thank you. Are there any declarations of interest coming before this matter? No. I need to give one personal declaration. It's a non-peculiar interest, and that is one of the respondents to the consultation I have come across in my dealings with Heathrow's third runway. So I do know the lady, but we have no substantial relationship. Then, moving on, sorry. Just to confirm that all matters to be marked in Part 1 will be considered in public, and matters marked in Part 2 will be considered in private. Agenda item 4. This is a meeting for an application for a renewal of a temporary street trading licence in the Heathrow Villages ward. And on that end, we will start off with an introduction by the Regulatory Service Officer, who is Mark.
Thank you, Chairman. Good afternoon, everyone. You will have all received the report bundle and will be familiar with the application. This is a hearing to consider an application for the renewal of a shopfront trading licence outside Sarin Express, 212 High Street, Harlington, UB3 5DS. The application was submitted by Mr. Manpal Singh, and Mr. Panchal, a licensing agent, is representing him here today. The applicant seeks to renew the licence to display fruit and vegetables with the addition of household goods projecting 1.5 metres from the shop front. The original shop front permission was granted on the 29th of October 2021 following a consultation sent out on the 8th of October 21. That ended on the 28th. The consultees were the ward councillors, the council's highways team and the antisocial behaviour and environment team. The purpose of the consultation is to seek assurances that the applicant's proposals satisfy the requirements of the legislation and that they are suitable to be licensed. The application was duly granted. This renewal application has received 5 objections, 1 from a ward councillor and 4 from residents for the committee's consideration. I recommend that the committee grant the licence. However, it should be limited to 6 months and additional conditions attached to deal with concerns raised as deemed appropriate. I have copies of the standard conditions that may be of assistance. I invite the committee to determine the application, please. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mark. Councillor Allen, any questions for Mark?
Noting the fly chipping issue that we've been shown here, can I ask who's responsible for that piece of land that we've got in our bundle?
My understanding is that there will be the landowner, and I'm assuming that the shops, and maybe the applicant could further advise on this, will be sort of leasing those premises, and there will be this degree of responsibility through that. But with regard to fly tipping, I think that's more sort of an ASBIT sort of area, but my understanding is that they would enforce those type of problems, but that wouldn't really come under the shopfront licence if we're talking about, sort of refuse at the back of the premises.
Yeah, because we've got that in our bundle and we're being asked to consider it, and I was rather surprised it was there because we're talking about the shopfront.
I have to say, Councillor Allen, I agree with you. I did question why these items were in our bundle. I think it's because they're photos submitted by residents and hence they were included in the bundle. But my take as well is that these are not directly linked with the application that was in front of us.
And the gate also.
And the gate
the
also. You're talking about the photos particularly on 28 and the bottom of 29 in the packet.
Yeah, and 31.
And 31.
I just trying to get my head around why that information's there when it doesn't seem relevant to the front of the shop.
Duly noted, Councillor. It was just when sort of members of the public sort of airing their issues with the premises, even though, in my opinion, it wasn't directly involved with the shop front, it sort of gave sort of a general aspect of what the problems were.
Right, I've got another couple of questions, if you don't mind.
Please go ahead.
Comments are made about the crates and boxes used at the front. Has the council got any particular rule on what material boxes can be used? Because if they have, it should be borough-wide. I'm a bit concerned about, someone saying there's crates there, it's unsightly. We'll go to any town centre, including Haystown. We've got them everywhere. Go to Uxbridge, you've got them. So is there a rule on that?
My understanding is there isn't a set rule for that, but it will come under the general sort of standard conditions attached to shopfront licences and street trading in particular, that they should be kept tidy and of a reasonable standard.
I just want to know how many dogs walk the area compared to Haystown. They've got a problem, somebody walked to get one.
Thank you, Councillor Allen. Councillor Davies, have you got any questions?
Yeah, just one. Why have you said 6 months and not 12 months? What was the reason behind that?
I feel 6 months is a shorter time, and hopefully it will instil some, sort of that the applicant will see he's only got 6 months, and with a view for in future, it may sort of help him to get his house in order to, sort of run the premises better and look, as an incentive to, in future to be able to go to 12 months if we're not having the problems that seem to be happening at the moment.
Okay, thank you. No further questions.
Can I ask how many other premises in the borough, the whole of the borough, have 6 months because you feel that will keep your eye on the ball?
I wouldn't have any exact figures, but my understanding is that every new application is only granted for 6 months. You know, to see how that premises performs, and if there are issues that can be dealt with at an earlier stage than it would do normally.
Thanks. Thank you very much, Mark, in which case we will move on to the applicant. Mr. Panchal.
Sorry, Chair, this is my first street training. I'll be trying my best.
It's certainly not your first in front of this committee, Mr. Panchal, and just pretend we're in a different room and not in the chamber.
Thank you, Chair. First of all, thanks to Councillor Ellen. I've been seeing her for quite a long, in many, many hearings. I've never had a problem. Thank you so much, and we appreciate what your hard work in the licensing, all the way we've seen. So on behalf of all my clients, I've had plenty of my clients, we thank you very much for your great services. Sorry, Chair, the shop's been there for the last 6 years. They have a license to sell alcohol. We've already discussed, I've just seen the questions put in by Councillor Allen and regarding the other side, page 2930, which I was going to put in. It's already been answered now. It doesn't concern the client at all. We are using, my client is using 1.5 meters, although he's paying for 2 meters. The license is normally for 2 meters, but he's paying for 1.5 meters. And using 1.5 meters, the trolleys for, we've complied with the council in having the trolleys rather than having the boxes that you see. What I'm mentioning is that if you look at on page 27, picture down on page 27, there were boxes, and that has now converted into the trolleys on page number 30. So we've ordered the special trolleys. Chairman, there is ample of space left over in front for people to move around. Having this license approved, the client's sales of fruit and sales of material and the footfall has increased. Hence, it is a viable proposition to have the place in there. I am just asking the committee today to grant the license for the extra 6 months, and we would agree with all the conditions laid out by the council. We are happy to take any questions that the council wants to ask, but we are complying, the client is complying with the necessary requirements. That will be my submission today.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chamberlain. I'm going to just start off with a couple of questions. We mentioned, particularly on page 31, the picture there with the gate, although we're not looking at the fly tipping. Does your client own that land? Does your client own that land behind that? No. Right. That answers the question. Thank you. I will now open up to my colleagues. Councillor Allen.
Just one question. Can I ask the applicant what proportion of your trade is from the front of the store? Yeah. Yeah, no. What proportion of the trade? Is that 10% of your trade or 5%?
Please put on your microphone.
Sorry. Hi again. It's around 30 to 40%.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Councillor Davies.
No questions at the moment.
Okay, thank you. In which case we will move on to the objector, which is present with us at the moment, which is the Heathrow Villages Ward Councillor, Councillor June Nelson.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. This issue has been ongoing since the pandemic, when shopfronts were granted license to extend out a bit. And ever since then, there have been numerous complaints from residents regarding the shop, not only that shop, but a couple other shops, moving out more and more onto the pavement, which caused a lot of obstructions. And I have witnessed where disabled people were unable to move around with their wheelchairs, mothers with their prams. They had to literally just go into the road to get to bypass the shop. We have submitted several emails to the council via the system we have that we can submit emails to, with pictures, lots of pictures, lots of concerns we have in regards to what is being put out in front. At first, it started off with lots of bales of toilet papers and hand towels and water and different things. On inquiry and investigation, we then found out it was only fruit and veg that was allowed to be out in front and nothing more. This continued to be an ongoing issue. At Christmas, we were doing our toppers, post office toppers, trying to regenerate interest in Christmas within Hillingdon High Street. And on the day that we were there, it not only did it come out, but it came out even further. And the main concern was what it is that you guys doing to help us to stop this happening. I then got emails from the council in June of last year. They were visited and by the officers. A warning was given to the shop not to do that. In September, a phone call was made to the shop to say to them, you know, you have to comply regarding the agreement, the waste agreement. I appreciate you saying the waste at the back was not part of it, but they're also included in that. So I think that's why it's in your paperwork here. So that agreement was being breached as well. I am aware that one person, and I wouldn't give name nor release where that was threatened that if they open their mouth and say anything else, you know what's coming. I think that was wrong, and I did say to the individual, if they were threatened like that, they should have called the police, because it's a genuine resident's concern and a genuine that the public pathway must be kept clear for pedestrians to move as and when they pleases. The residents, as you can see from a lot of the residents on a refusal to not to say anything about it, they've submitted their request in regards to it, and I have submitted my request as well in regards to the breaches that's happening, even though they were visited, even though warning was given, it's still being breach. And what's been happening and what I was told by some of the residents, yes, the officer will come and visit today, 2-3 days down the line, they will comply, and then after that, they will breach again. So this is an ongoing thing. If an officer visits, it's compliant. Once it's compliant, then it breach again a week down the line, and then it forever keep breaching. So in that case, I would suggest that, we not grant the license, because it's a temporary license for 6 months, so that really and truly the high street can have the walkway that is pedestrianized should remain pedestrianized, and not shop fronts taking up that space that our residents need to use in their daily walk and in their daily routine within their environment. So that is my views on that, and I hope it is accepted.
Thank you, Councillor Nelson. If I could just ask you a question. There is a picture on page 30 which shows the layout of the shop front. You said in your submission that people had trouble getting past with wheelchairs and pushchairs. Was it not? It was not like it is on the picture on page 30. Right. Okay. Thank you very much. Councillor Allen, you got any questions for Councillor Nelson? Okay, thank you.
Sorry. There is previous pictures that we have submitted via MEs showing how far out it was. And one of them, I think it had someone walking where they had to step out into the road because it was so far out.
Thank you. Councillor Allen and Councillor Davies, have you got any questions for Councillor Nelson?
Can't ask the councillors
Microphone, microphone.
Why the antisocial behaviour team aren't here and why these pictures aren't given to us in evidence, because what we've got is what we've got and we can only judge. So perhaps someone can explain.
I don't know who can answer that. Why ASBET are not here today?
For the purposes of this hearing, we can only publish what has been submitted as an objection. We didn't receive any objections from the ASBET team, I'm afraid, who may have come forward with stuff like that. And the MEs, the pictures, there's a lot of information that possibly wouldn't be we can't sort of, we just got to accept the actual objection to the application rather than pulling things separately from an ME and just putting it in a report. I just don't think that would be appropriate.
I understand what you're saying, but we are sitting here today and we're supposed to have all the information in front of us. And the information in front of us is how we make our decision. And if we haven't got that antisocial behaviour, we're being told that the antisocial behaviour team are saying they're coming out and came out and didn't come out and whatever. But we've got no evidence of this. And I'd like to know why we haven't.
There is, I did make queries with the antisocial behaviour team, and I've included them in the bundle, and they reported that 2 fixed penalty notices were issued, but they were for unauthorised goods, and I'll have to check.
I think what we'll do is when we get to our closed session and our deliberation, we will take some legal advice on this, because I think this is very pertinent. As you say, we can only look at the evidence that's in front of us, but we must be fair and balanced, and we will take some legal advice in our deliberations on that. Okay, in which case, sorry, Councillor Davis, did you have a question, Councillor Nelson?
Councillor Nelson, how many MEs were issued? Do you know how many?
We were issuing MEs from early 2021. Is the first time I came up with that. It was drawn to our attention well before then, but the MEs started coming in either in April, May of 2021. And then the first visit was conducted in June 2021, giving a warning to the shop. So I would say the MEs was roughly over 20 MEs that went in 2021 MEs. But I don't have the number at hand.
A few of the MEs are listed on page 21. There's 3 of the most recent ones that were investigated.
I've got one more question for
Sure,
Councillor Nelson, Chairman, if that's okay. Yeah. If you look on page 30, when you witnessed that the outside part was further ahead, would you say it's nearly in line with the gentleman that was there? If you look on page 30, when you were saying that you witnessed they'd gone further than they have now, are we talking that sort of distance, or where the gentleman is on page 30?
A little bit more out than that.
Okay.
Yeah, but that picture was taken by one of the residents.
No, of course. I just want to sort of picture the sort of distance that you'd witnessed.
Yeah, a little bit more out than that, especially the one with the toilet tissues and the paper rolls that was there.
Thank you. No further question, Chairman.
Thank you, and thank you, Councillor Nensel, for attending. It always makes this committee's decision easier when we have some people from the community who know the area. It helps give us a wider picture, so thank you for giving up your time. We're now going to move on to the more substantial discussion-led part of this meeting. And to kick that off, I'm going to ask the applicant maybe respond to some of the things that we've heard. Firstly, there have been some fixed penalty notices issued. There's been 3 complaints since documented in our bundle on page 41 since 16th of November last year. How do you respond to that?
Chairman, regarding the issued notices, fines issued in that particular instance when there was no trading standard, trading license issued. So things were put out when there was no trading license. Let's be honest to that. and there was an application to be put in to the council. The council had said, a visit was made by the council and said that you must apply for a trading license before you can put things outside. Hence, the application was put in, and we have complied, the clients have complied, as you can see on the picture on page 30. There is a trolley on page 30 that I would like to explain to you that that trolley cannot extend beyond that. So if you look at the page 30, the person walking around, and there's a trolley there, that trolley is made for that 1.5 meter. So it cannot extend any further or cannot come out on the road. And there's a meter on 1 meter. The trolley is only 1 meter.
1 meter.
It's not even 1.5 meter when the permitted license was 1.5 meter. So the trolley is only 1 meter.
But at some point, your client, as Councillor Nelson has said, had extended out further than was in the picture?
No, they haven't.
No.
Right.
The other thing, Councillor, that I need like to bring to your notice is you heard the client saying that his trade has increased from 20, 30 to 30%. The reason that trade has increased is people are, the local people are coming down to buy the vegetables and fruits and that from there. And they are complying with the hygiene regulations also. Hence, that is why there is a lot of increment of people coming down to buy fruits and vegetables and that. So it is helping the local community there. That's one of the things that I'd like to bring your attention to. I don't think anything else we could say, but we are complying.
So I think you wanted to say something, please.
Yeah.
Sorry. All I wanted to say is this trolley was actually made, obviously I ordered it myself, where he's my younger brother, and the reason we kept it beyond that 1.5 meter to make sure the pedestrian and the customer, when they go out, they have a safe side to go. So even though, as I explained Mr. Panchal as well, obviously the council has permitted us 1.5 meter where we haven't even used that much. So we are trying our best to keep that safe as much as we can for the residents as for our customers too.
And Councillor Nelson also said in her submission that there seemed to be a breach and then compliance, then breach and compliance. It goes good, bad, good, bad. Do you accept that? Or?
The reason there was a bit of miscommunication with our employees because we knew that this is the fruit and veg trolleys. The reason I think there was a ticket issued, there was a charcoal in the trolley which we're supposed to take out after we open. And the moment the shop opens at 7 o'clock, and by the time everything comes out, it does take a couple of hours. And I think the officer came out about 9 o'clock. So that moment, he did say that I'm aware that we need to take out from the trolley and put it inside the store. So it was our bad luck. By the time he needs to do that job, the officer was already there and he issued a ticket. But I think he did try to explain the officer as well that we knew because of the storage that one of the charcoal was in the trolley. So he's supposed to take out and put it inside. So that was...
and have you put procedures in place now so that that can't
Yes,
happen
we have
again?
totally complied that, and we have made sure, apart from fruit and veg, we don't display anything else until we get the license, as we always... And even though, because we've been trading in that business for long enough, so we know we have to follow all the rules, and we have been trying this from the beginning.
Thank you. Councillor Davis, I know you had your hand up first.
Yeah, Mr. Panto, you said about the trolley was only 1.5 metres. I think what Councillor Nelson was trying to put forward
I think they said a metre, actually.
Oh, sorry, a metre, sorry. But I think it was the loose items in front that Councillor Nelson was pointing towards, toilet rolls and stuff like that. Were they placed in front?
That was when we didn't have a license, and obviously we were not aware that we need to have a license to keep something on the street. So when we had that penalty, that's when we were told that you need to apply for a license if you want to keep the tissues, or even though we do accept we had a baskets and some tissues which was not even bigger than like small, it's a 36 rolls which could be about this size. So that's when we decided we need to apply for the license. That was before the license. Yes, we do accept that.
Thank you. No questions, Chairman.
Councillor, no questions. Councillor Nelson, was there anything you wanted to say?
It's just that...
This isn't a closing submission, it's just whether you've got any discussions about it.
It's just, for me, is that I have no objections of a business being out there because it's a life and it's a life of the community, and they are doing a good service. My concern is that if they can just stick to the rules instead of breaching it all the time, even the lottery stand they would bring out as well. Is the lottery stand supposed to be out there? There's no need for that. I can understand the footprint and wanting to get people to come in, but there are some things that there is a limit to. And it frustrates the residents that no matter how you complain or how you talk, they just seems not to take any notice. So I think it's time that they take notice of what the law is all about and the license that's given to them, that they comply with that and not keep breaching it. If not, they wouldn't have the officers visiting and issuing penalty points, because if you're doing the right thing, then there is no need for that. And our residents do want to, it's a conservation area, so the residents really do want to make sure it stays as it is. At the moment, we know that it is not all that fantastic because there's not enough service going into it, but at the same time, the residents are proud of the area and they just want to see it remains that way. Thank you.
Councillor Nelson. Do you want to respond to that?
Yes, Chairman. I think my clients would like to comply with. They want to make sure that the residents are properly served. They also want to make sure that the residents don't have a complaint, because that's the residents they depend on. These are the residents that are going to come to the shop. So they are going to make sure that the residents are complying with and obeying to what the residents want. So we're going to make sure that the compliance is carried out, and we're going to make sure we'll work along with the community in future. If there is anything, I would advise Councillor Nelson to please do approach the shop, and we are here to solve the problems and not here to disobey anything.
Ms. Singh, it looks like you want to say something.
Thank you very much. Yes, I do accept there was a lottery stand displayed, but that lottery stand has been put away for months. I think since we had the license issued, from that day on we put the lottery stand behind the shop, and we are not using it at all at the moment. And we do accept that, even though, as Mr. Panchal explained, we work with community together. If there is any issue, they can always visit to the shop. We are most welcome. And from that day, since we had this license issued, we've been trying our best, and even though in future as well, we will try our best to keep it as much as clean we can and make sure we are in a license authority. That's it. Thank you.
Thank you. Go.
Hi, sorry. Actually, one more thing. Since we are here, it's been nearly 6 years, we have been paid to get it clean at the back of the shop. It's not even our choice to get it clean, but it's still, all the community in the shops and all, we all invest the money and get it clean. Nearly 2-3 times we got it clean, but they put the pictures and all that. But it's not our places to get it clean, but it's still we get it clean to keep the community safe and secure.
Thank you. Yeah, I think as we said at the beginning, we're not taking the litter behind the shop into consideration during this. Any other? Just looking around the councillors? No? Okay. Thank you very much. That concludes the discussion led of the subcommittee. We'll just go around the room quickly to do some closing remarks. If you have any, Councillor Nelson, have you got any closing remarks you'd like to make?
It's just that they comply more than anything else. If the compliance is there, then the residents will be happy about it, and no threatening behaviours to anyone who tries to complain.
Thank you. Mr. McDermott?
No, thank you, Chairman.
Ms. Panchal?
No, thank you, Chairman, but we'll make sure the compliance is put forward, as Mr. Nelson said, and we'll also make sure we work along with the responsible authorities as well as the local community, and we'll be grateful today if the license is granted. Thank you very much, Chair.
Thank you, and thank you all very much for coming. We have now finished this part of the meeting. The committee will shortly move into a private session to discuss the matters that are confidential in nature, and the live broadcast stream will be cut. If you wish to see the decisions of the committee today, they should be available to view on the Council's website later on today or tomorrow, or you can watch the live broadcast, which will happen in a few hours' time maybe. I'd like to thank everyone who's watching, and naturally you'll be informed of decision in the usual manner. So for now, I close this part of the meeting. Thank you very much.